Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, we talk about all things homesteading, homemaking, and just kind of the journey to a slower, simpler life. You are joining me at around lunchtime and I'm about to head out to get some salad greens and some chives from the garden, so come along with me. For lunch today, I am making a hamburger salad just because it is something super easy. Lunches I don't like to get too elaborate with. I just like to use things from leftovers from the last night's supper and just easy peasy things. So there's not enough to harvest a whole lot, not enough to harvest enough for a salad, but that's okay because I have salad greens in the fridge I need to use up anyway. So we will just take a little bit just to add a little something something. This right here is why I keep chive flowers. They're so great for the pollinators. So here we are in the kitchen. I have my leftover hamburger that we did not end up using last night, and I have cooked it up in the frying pan, salt, pepper, and I'm going to flavor it with some chives from the garden. Just gonna add that to my burger. That'll give it a really nice flavor. I'll take that off the heat, turn my stove off, and now to make our salads. Me and my man's salad preferences are quite different. So in his, he is going to have olives, and in mine, I'm going to have tomatoes. I'm not a big fan of olives, and he somehow doesn't like tomatoes. It's crazy. I feel like with tomatoes, you either love them, which is me, or you really don't like them. And that is most people I know in my life, unfortunately. So I figured while I eat my salad, we can have a little bit of a life chat. I am officially moved in. If you didn't know, my man and I decided to move out of our apartment and move back in with my mother. Now for a lot of people that might kind of feel like a setback, but to me it is quite the opposite. It feels like such a huge step forward. I'm really looking forward to opportunities to get closer to my goals. One, we will be able to save a lot faster living with my mother instead of living by ourselves paying crazy rent in an apartment. Two, although not much, there is a lot more land here than we had in an apartment, and as you know, I have all my raised beds set up. I could choose to have bees on this property if I wanted to. And as far as gardening and food like that goes, I have all the opportunity to expand on my knowledge of preserving, of growing, and preserving. And that leads me into something really exciting that I have to show you. Ta-da! So, if anybody wants to take a guess on what this is, you have until I open this box. But I'm so excited to show you what I got. Oh, okay, of course there's lots of plastic. Pocket knives come in handy. Can you see what it is yet? Dun dun dun. Oh, it's sideways. Let's get it out. Presto, digital pressure canner. I have wanted one of these for so long. Obviously I haven't used it yet, so I can't really give a review, but I will go into a little bit of knowledge that I do have. I just bought mine and the price is fluctuating right now. I bought mine for just under $300, but I think now at this time it is above $300 a little bit right now because it is fluctuating, as I said. So it is definitely a big investment piece, but I will tell you why I decided to get this and why I think it will be an amazing purchase. So yes, this is a digital pressure canner, and it is USDA safe. So it is not like any of those other digital devices that people get confused about and think they can can and they can't. This is 100% safe to can. But unlike most pressure canners, the big thing that sold me on this for our household is you don't have to monitor it. With a traditional canner that you put on the stovetop, you have to really keep an eye on it pretty well to make sure that it doesn't drop below what it needs to be or get too high. You really need to keep an eye on it. Whereas this device right here, you can put your canning stuff in and have it be on to can and then go do anything else because it self-regulates. It holds the temperature that it needs for the recipe itself. You don't have to monitor it and make sure it is holding that temperature. So that to me was the #1 seller. Also, from looking at it, it seems really, really easy to use. As somebody who has never canned before, water bath or pressure, I think this will be very easy for me to pick up on, and I think it'd be very easy for anybody who is completely new to canning to learn to use. It seems very simple. This is the 12 quart version. I think there is a smaller one, but I'm not sure. But 12 quarts does not mean you can do 12 quart jars at a time. I will read to you. It says on the box, you can do at a single time, you can do 10 half pints, 8 pints, or 5 quarts. Of course, this kind of pressure canner would not be the way to go if your goal is to be more off-grid or completely self-sufficient, because of course if there was some kind of power outage, I didn't have access to power for some reason, I would be out of luck as far as canning goes. But for me and my goals at this time, the investment I wanted to make was into a product like this, where it is a simpler thing for me to learn and pick up on, as well as something that I can leave to itself, not have to worry about, and get other things done. I will definitely be trying this out in a very soon upcoming video. I'm just hugging it because I've wanted this for so long. And I know I said I just spent almost $300 like it was nothing, but it was definitely something. So I know it will be worth it though. So definitely stay tuned for future videos of us learning how to use this together. And of course, any tips you have about canning in general is very much welcomed. I have the official ball canning recipe book, so I'm probably going to find something out of that to try first. Very exciting. Oh, I just cannot wait. Big boxes like this remind me of when I was a kid, and I'd get in a big box like this, and I'd bring markers, and I'd be able to just go in and completely like make my secret hideout. Let's see how I fit in this one. I fit. So if you have smaller kids too, just know that when you order your digital pressure canner, you will have a nice big box to give to them, and they will be entertained for hours upon hours. If they're anything like I was, they will stay in there all day and you will not be able to get them out. So I do want to also show you, because I'm very proud with how it turned out, my new kind of little home office area. So the last time I was living here, this was my grandmother's room, and I'm very familiar with it because I was in here basically 24/7 tending her and taking care of her. And unfortunately she did pass. After she passed, I moved into the apartment, and this got kind of turned into almost a memory room. So there's lots of photos of family members. But I've also been able to add to it and make it really my own space to get work done, do crafts, do art, all kinds of stuff. So I'm very, very, very excited about it. Let me show you. It is a little messy. Keep in mind, we just moved out 2 days ago, so we're still figuring all that out. But look, there's all my fabrics behind there. I got my sewing stuff, pens. I have an area to write. I have an area to sit. I have all my art stuff in these drawers, which is so exciting. And of course, as you see, the family members, family stuff all around, which is just great, really. I got plants in the window, and I can see my garden out the window also, which is just so nice. Things are really coming together, and I'm quite proud, actually, of just how much we've done in so little time. I just feel so encouraged about everything. I feel like this is such a great start to a new chapter that is going to be so amazing, and I really can't wait for everything it has in store. Hello guys, it is the next day, and the majority of my day has been spent cleaning because I had to go back and clean out the apartment. But now we are back to home, and it is a nice rainy day, so I'm going to make some cinnamon raisin bread, which is actually something I have not made before. So this will be fun. The recipe starts with a cup of milk, 4 tablespoons of butter, and 3 tablespoons of honey. So I'm gonna put those 3 ingredients into a pot because we need to heat it up to about 110 degrees so that it's at the proper temperature for yeast to work. Nothing better than raw honey. But I'm actually going to adjust and only put 2 tablespoons of honey, even though it said 3, because there's also going to be sugar with the cinnamon in it later, so I don't think it needs to be as sweet. We'll see if I regret that or not. So that is a little bit above 110, so I'm going to let it cool off to the side for a few minutes, and then I am putting 2.5 teaspoons of yeast. So 2.5 teaspoons yeast. Give that a good mix. And we'll let this sit for a few minutes before adding more ingredients. It is starting to foam a little bit, so we're going to add a teaspoon of salt, a 1/2 cup of raisins, 2 eggs, give that all a good mix. Now we're going to add about 3.5 cups of flour. There. And I'm giving that a good mix all together. Now we have to knead our bread. So I just like to grab a big scoop. It makes it kind of easier if you move the bowl. With this recipe, I read that it's pretty important to not over flour. So although it is quite sticky to my fingers, I think that is okay. And that it wants to be a little bit stickier of a dough than you might have for other breads that you might be doing. Now we're just going to let this sit for as long as it needs, probably an hour or so that it about doubles in size, and then we'll be able to come back to it. Another project that I can do while we're waiting for that bread is our herbs. If you remember, we harvested some oregano and some thyme, and they're all dried up and nice. So what I'm going to do is throw these in the food processor so that they get all nice and crunched up, and then put them away for storage and use. So for our first harvest of herbs for the year 2023, we got this much oregano, other than the oregano. So we got this much oregano, really. This much oregano, which is fantastic because I know there's a lot more of that to come further down in the season. And we filled up one of these with thyme. So that's just so exciting. Herbs really can cost you quite a bit in the store, and they cost really nothing to grow. I think buying a already established, already growing herb from a garden center, maybe $2, $3, $4 for that plant, and then just having a place to plant it, and it gets you so much. This is just the first harvest of the year. We got a lot more summer. It's not even summer yet, so we got a whole season to come. We are still waiting on the bread to rise, but we might as well make the middle, the cinnamon middle. And so that is going to be a 4th cup of brown sugar, 4th cup in my tiny little bowl, 2 tablespoons of cinnamon, and then 2 tablespoons of melted butter. While I'm waiting on that bread, I'm gonna get a load of towels into the wash. This is one of the great things about bread is, yes, if you look at how long it really takes, it is a long time, but so much of that time is just letting it rise. You can go about the whole rest of your day while you're waiting for it, get so much done. The amount of time it actually takes to actively make the bread is teeny tiny. I spend way much more time on dinner every night than I do on making some bread. And speaking of dinner, it is about that time that we get started on it. I knew today was going to be a very busy day, so ahead of time I cooked the beef with beef broth for a beef ramen. I was also making spaghetti sauce at the same time, so I really did not have to do much. But in this pot, I'm going to put the beef broth with beef combo that we had cooked ahead of time, along with another container of beef broth. And in the pot right in front of me, right here, I'm going to be putting some broccoli and some shredded carrot. And I'm just going to add this to a separate pot because it needs to cook longer than I want to have the other part of the broth cooking for. So I'm going to cook this in water, boil it, then when it's just about done, dump out all the water, add to the broth, get that to a nice temperature, then add the noodles, and then we'll have a nice homemade organic beef ramen. In case you were wondering, this is the brand of ramen that I get, organic ramen noodles, and the only ingredient is organic wheat, water, and sea salt. So if you're looking for a ramen that's not filled with a bunch of preservatives, other weird stuff, I would go with this. This is kind of silly sounding, but I've never had ramen until I got with my fiance, and he really was craving ramen one night, and I'm like, that's something I've never dabbled in. It really is much Asian cuisine, but now I make it decently often, both chicken and beef ramen, because when I thought of ramen, I always thought of those packets of like instant ramen, and to me that's absolute no, not in my house, complete yuck. But I found these and I really like them. They tasted very good. So if homemade ramen is something you want to add to your meal plans, look for this brand. It's Ocean Halo, I believe it says. It's really good. Well, thank you guys so much for spending time with me today. I really hope you enjoyed the videos, and if you like this kind of content where we're talking about homesteading, homemaking things, stuff like that, please think about subscribing because I have a lot more in store. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye!